We are just about to go live now. What's up, everybody? This is Chris Mizo here. I talk about PC and tech. If you're into that type of content, make sure you think about subscribing or following the channel. I am very excited to talk about the RTX 5060 and the RTX 5060 Ti. I don't know how excited you really are because, first off, you got to look at the prices. The prices don't really look excellent for what they are. And the performance is, well, it's not exactly what we were looking for. In fact, the crazy part is the RTX 5060 and the RTX 5060 Ti has already sold out. As you know, if you're one of the ones that wanted to go out to purchase the RTX 5060 Ti or the RTX 5060, it was really hard to get your hands on one. Hopefully everyone who wanted one got one or received one, and hopefully you're upgrading from at least a lower 30 series, like a 3070, because the performance level wasn't quite at the reach that we were looking for. It's pretty insane because from what we see, thank you for the hearts, love you all. It's pretty crazy to see that the RTX 5060 is unable, specifically the RTX 5060 Ti, is unable to touch base with the RTX 4070. So that kind of tells you exactly what kind of direction are we headed in. And now with all these introductions of all these selections and variations of GPUs, how is the pricing going to be? Now, it's become a quite confusing topic. You're not sure exactly what to get, especially if you're trying to get a GPU for gaming. But this is where I come in and I try to help you guys who are just trying to get into PC gaming, or you're trying to upgrade from a prior GPU that you have and you're looking for an upgrade, really. So that's what I'm here to help you with. Now, the 5060 Ti, it's not really the best option, I would say. If you're going to upgrade with a Nvidia card, I would at least recommend the 5070 Ti, but then again, the price point isn't quite there. And again, it's pretty insane that the pricing for the RTX 5090 is where it is, because you're going to easily pay well over $3,000 for a GPU. And again, you will not really need all 32 gigabytes of VRAM. So John Neri comes in and he asks about if it's necessary to either have a 2-fan or a 3-fan AIO cooler. Now the question is, what type of AIO cooler are you looking for? And the second part is, what CPU are you putting it in? Or are you asking specifically for a GPU? Because they do have AIO coolers for GPUs as well. But of course, that's a little bit more modification. I haven't really looked in the 50 series as much, but I do know they do have them. What's up? Forgive me for saying your name wrong if I say it wrong. What's up, Ferreria? I can't really pronounce my R's too well. But welcome from Portugal. Appreciate the shout out. So let me know the type of CPU that you're trying to put it in. Is it a 9800X3D? Is it a Intel processor? What type of processor are you trying to put this AIO on? And then I can certainly help you with that matter. And for everyone who is just coming in, I'm here just talking about the RTX 5060 and the RTX 5060 Ti. It's quite a bit interesting because both of these GPUs have their limits. For example, the RTX 5060 reaches up to 3,840 GPU cores, which is how much ray tracing that there is. Yes, thank you. You have a good night too. Oh, the Ryzen 7 9700X. Oh, what's up, John? I just realized. But if it's on a 9700X, I usually recommend something more like a 240 millimeter radiator, just for the fact that because if it is on a Ryzen 7 9700X, then you won't really need the full 360 millimeter radiator. I usually recommend those for those who are using it for like heavier tasks, such as like more workstation use, or even if you're using a larger processor with more multi-core functioning in it, such as the 9800 X3D, I would say you can get it for, or even a 9950 X3D would make more sense. But if you're trying to look for the best bang for your buck, honestly, you can get away with a 240mm AIO and you would be perfectly fine. There won't be any issues with your build, unless you're planning to upgrade your processor in the future, because it is also rumored that AMD is going to have the 10000 series as well on the AM5 chipset. So that is the great news about it. So if you are thinking about getting if you're thinking about getting a 10000 series and getting a more serious processor, then it's always good to have bigger if you can. But if your budget says you could only get 240mm, you'll be perfectly fine, to be honest. So yes, shout out to Portugal. What's up, CTM? Welcome to the live stream. Welcome everybody for coming in. I do appreciate it. For everyone who's just coming in and not familiar with who I am Chris Mizo. I talk about PC and tech. Now, the biggest news today was the RTX 5060 and the 5060 Ti being released. Were you one of the people that were lucky enough to get one? Now, if you saw the pricing, whether if it was on Newegg or if you were on Nvidia's website or if you were able to get one at Micro Center, let me know. More than likely, if you were able to get it at Micro Center, you probably fared out pretty well. You probably had no issues whatsoever with the pricing, because some of the pricing is quite conflicting, especially when you take a look at them. I'll actually pull it up right here, and some of the pricing that I see it's quite incredible if you compare it to, say, like a 4070. Anyway, we're here to talk about the 5060 Ti. And for example, we see Gigabyte's Gaming GeForce RTX 5060 Ti. It's priced at $529.99, which is crazy, right? $529 for a card that runs on a 128-bit bus. Of course, it's G7, but then again, it still is a bit slower than the RTX 4070. So it almost makes you think about whether if it's even worth getting a 5060 Ti. And it seems like almost Nvidia is just throwing anything that they can out there to try to get any of the gaming market to purchase their cards. So Dave S, hey, what's up, Dave S? Good to see you. I saw Micro Center pricing was at $400 to $600 for a 5060 Ti. Dave is completely correct. It's the pricing is a bit insane. Now, $400 is a fair price, especially if you're trying to get a GPU for your PC gaming build. And if you don't have a PC, if you have a old 1080 Ti, just say, and you're just trying to upgrade from that, it is certainly worth the upgrade. Now, the performance level is quite a bit separated. And just looking at it over here on this chart, which I will show you guys real quick that are on the other stream that can see it. But just right here, I just want to show you guys. When you look on the relative performance right here, just take a look at that. That just gives you a good indication of where it lies. And now you see the RTX 5060 Ti. It's currently at like right under a 6800, a RX 6800, and it's also right under a RX 7700 XT. Now that's 2 generations right there. And then on top of it, you also, the RTX 3070 is actually really close in competing with the RTX 5060 Ti. So now you let me know exactly if it's really worth it, and then you have the cutoff on the DX9, which is questionable. So I'm curious about that, and you're very limited with that. So JBX has a question. What is your question, JBX? Let me know. I would love to know what your question is, especially if you're trying to upgrade a GPU, or are you trying to upgrade a PC or build a PC. Feel free to ask a question. Let me know whenever you decide to throw the question anyway. But it just tells you the lack of respect Nvidia has for its consumers practically, because it almost says that we can throw anything out there and they know people will buy it. And it's true, because unfortunately it did sell out because of that. So John Neary says, what GPU would you recommend with a R7 9700X being on a budget? Now, what type of budget are you on? Let me know like a good range. Now, if you're in a really tight budget, I'm saying maybe something like I would say getting like a 9070 would be great. Honestly, AMD has a excellent giving, especially for this round, for this year. They are definitely on the top tier, I gotta say, for 2025. Surprisingly, even though they didn't really come to the show and really show off their slides about the 9070 XT and the 9070, I would highly recommend them. Now, if you do get a 9070, I recommend one that actually has dual BIOS, and I'll explain why. Now, if you're not sure what a dual BIOS is and you're feeling like, what the heck am I talking about? A dual BIOS is where you can switch the GPU with, I'm sorry, JB. But yeah, I just got thrown off there for a second. But they'll actually have a switch on there, which is silence and performance. And it's a little toggle switch you'll see on the GPU itself. You could switch it from either one. Those GPUs typically have a dual BIOS. The reason why you would want a dual BIOS, but again, this is something that you would do at your own risk, of course, because the reason why I recommend a dual BIOS to do this is because if you choose to get a 9070, you can actually get up to 9070 XT performance, possibly, if you flash one of the BIOS. That's why I don't recommend getting a single BIOS if you plan on trying to be on a budget. But if you do get a GPU that is dual BIOS, you can actually flash AMD's BIOS on there, where you can actually take advantage of those type of speeds. And that's just a stock flash practically, and you can do any undervolting and overclocking from there. Now, of course, if I can get my hands on a dual BIOS GPU, I will definitely have a guide on it, and it's really not too hard to do. I just don't recommend doing it on a single BIOS, because then it can get pretty complicated, and you don't want to brick your card, most importantly. Now, John Neary says, I'm thinking of getting the 4060 overclock, and that 9070 BIOS trick is pretty wild. And it's quite the discovery, especially just imagine how well AMD would do if they would just come out with a card if you were able to get from them. Now, if they had their own Founders Edition, I guarantee you it would sell out very quickly. Now, if you guys weren't here earlier in the week or didn't see my last streams, I do have an announcement for all of you guys out there. For those who didn't know or weren't part of this stream, just to let you know, let me see if I can pull it out here, is I unfortunately still have this. The winner didn't pull this out. They did not claim the prize. So that means, unfortunately, what I will have to do is give this prize to somebody else. I gave them 3 emails. Same with the other person here, which was Kai and I forget who else it was. But it was 2 winners of that contest. And, well, it was really 4 winners. 2 winners claimed their prize. 2 other winners did not, unfortunately. So what we will do is we will have another giveaway. I'm going to see if I'm going to do it with another company instead of Gleam. I don't really like Gleam, how they do things, because I can't really randomize again off of that giveaway. So I will also be doing another giveaway, but it's going to be on Saturday because I have to get the terms all straightened out. And all you have to do in order for you to join is just go to my website and it will lead you to the giveaway, or just go down to the description box where I will tell you exactly where to go for the giveaway. And that will be this upcoming Saturday. It will be for a Samsung 990 Pro with the heatsink, so you can install it inside of a PlayStation 5 if you would choose to, or you can put it inside of a PC, but if you do, you do not have to install the heatsink. Thank you everybody for who's joining in. If you don't know who I am, I'm Chris Mizo. I talk about PC and tech. And right now we're just discussing about the RTX 5060 and the RTX 5060 Ti. If you managed to get one, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what you think. So Dave says, Nvidia has them locked down. It would self-destruct before they let you unlock performance. Yeah, Nvidia has this really tight strap on their cards. It's really hard to get anything from Nvidia when it comes to their BIOSes. I tried it with the RTX 3080 Ti and it just doesn't go. Oh, it really doesn't. It would be really nice if. And if you're wondering how to find my website, it's really easy to find. It's just chrismizo.com. And that is the website. If you are looking for it, it is chrismizo.com. and it will lead you into my page. My page also has all my other social links, and it also has a store on there as well you can check out. And it also has some merch too, which is the Jonah merch. And also, speaking of Jonah, he's over here. He's just chilling right behind me. I'm thinking about getting his own cam. What do you think? Get the Jonah cam? Yes. So the Jonah cam, he's just chilling there. He's laying on, you know, like those pillows you use at the airports where you put like the donut around your neck? Well, he likes to use that, and he likes to lay on the floor, which I should definitely get a camera for him so you guys can see what he's doing. Right now, he's just chilling right behind the studio light. So he's just enjoying the fresh breeze that's outside. Thank you for all the love out there. Thank you. And he loves the RGBs. Let me tell you, when he's wants to fall asleep, he'll lay right in front of the PC, the one that I usually use to make content with. He'll lay right in front of it, and the RGBs will put him to sleep. Now, the funny thing is, if we're doing a build, what I'm going to do is we're going to do, like, say, another PC build, and when we do, we'll sit the PC on, we'll put it right on the floor, right by where Jonah usually is, and from there, we'll see if he still falls asleep. If he doesn't, he's going to know and notify all of us, like, he senses something wrong with the PC, because he'll just step up and move away from it if he knows something is wrong. If he feels like this is a good build, he'll lay next to it. He'll give his own rating. What do you guys think of that? That would be pretty funny, especially because his birthday is coming up soon. His birthday is officially on May 3rd. Let me see what day that falls on real quick, because then it would be, that's perfect. We could do it on stream on May 3rd. We already discussed it with some of the people on the stream, and we're thinking of giving him a birthday cake. What do you guys think of that? If you like it, make sure to give that a thumbs up or give a heart. If you want to see his birthday cake, I'll put him up on the table. Hopefully we get some hardware. He'll have a great birthday. What do you think of that? But anyway, to get back to the point about the RTX 5060 Ti, that they are also going to release apparently another edition of a RTX 5060 Ti by ASUS, and it's supposed to be another art edition. Now, it's supposed to be the Hatsune Miku, which is, like, I guess, their anime that they want to feature for the RTX 5060 Ti. I don't know if it's going to be a little bit more. I'm sure it will be, because it is Nvidia, and you do have a little bit of ASUS in there, so you have a good mix of a little bit of a high price. I'm expecting it to be in the $600 range, I would think, but it's all white card. It looks actually pretty nice, but the thing is, again, if you're looking for performance, you don't really need that. But for a upcoming build, I'm thinking of what to do for this channel is to actually do a stealth build for once, because I know not everybody is ecstatic about RGBs as well, and do like more like of a stealth ninja type of build. What do you guys think of that? Hopefully you're thinking that's a good idea. If you like that idea, put 1. If you want to see more RGB builds, if you prefer more RGB builds, please put 2. Let me know that before we go ahead and step ahead and start doing a PC build that's all stealth, which it's supposed to be like almost like it's supposed to give a real clean look, and it'll be really nice to have a PC like that for those who are, say, in like a bedroom or something, because then the RGBs won't bother you, or it won't reflect off the walls or anything like that when you're sleeping, because that could get pretty annoying. Some older PC cases were like that, where they had this like really bright blue light, and you would just kind of tape it with electrical tape, because at the time there would be nothing to really cover or control those type of lights. But so for the RTX 5060 Ti and the RTX 5060, let me just go over real quick on the specifications so you guys get an idea of it. Now, it is 3,840 cores, which is for the ray tracing cores. Now, this is specifically for the RTX 5060. The RMUs go, I believe, up to ROPs. I mean, 40. It goes up to 48, and then their TMUs goes up to 120. So really, it's not going to be a large difference between the two. Specifically, with compared to the RTX 5060 and this 5060 Ti, they're practically the same there. The only difference between them is going to be the cores, which is the, I think it has, let me just go up here just to double check because I want to make sure I give you the right number. 4,608 cores for the RTX 5060 Ti. They both run on the same Blackwell chipset, which is GB206. And again, it's not going to be a large scale improvement, especially if you're coming from, say, like a RTX 4070. Unfortunately, you won't see like a large gap. In fact, you might even lose performance out of it. The only thing you will gain out of it is the frame generation, because unfortunately it's locked out. And I really found that out when I was actually working on the friend's build. If you didn't see that build, make sure you check that out. It was a RTX he had an RTX 3080 inside of his build. And when I was doing the different benchmark tests, it does not allow you to use any type of frame generation, especially with those with the transformer model. Unfortunately, they only had those for the larger cards. Like I believe the RTX 4080 had it. I know the RTX 4090 has it, and where you can actually use the frame generation, but it's not as quick compared to the 50 series frame generation. As, again, they have the transformer model in there for it to really generate well. Now, that's the only advantage it has, is really technically software wise. So it's just going to give you that image to where it seems like the frames are a lot smoother because it's generating those frames practically through AI. That's all it's really doing. So it's not going to be really 100% accurate. And if you have used frame generation, where I've seen it before, it kind of gets kind of weird. It gets kind of glitchy at certain scenes. Now, I'm going to be testing it on the 50 series. Hopefully you guys were there to see that. If you were, it was on this past Saturday. I opened up a RTX 5090 and opened up a, I also opened up a 870 Z870, which, I mean, not 870, 890, which is Intel's board. Nobody was really hyped up about that because I don't think there's anybody out there that really is left that has Intel builds. If you are a Intel builder, please let me know. Put it down in the comments because I would love to know what type of Intel build that you have. Because recently we've done a lot of AM5 builds. We haven't really touched Intel at all. I know a lot of people aren't really excited about their 800 series chipset, which is their Z890. And their Z890 seems to be like kind of really quiet. You don't really hear too much about it. All the focus is still onto Raptor Lake and Raptor Lake Refresh because, again, I know those chipsets are quicker, but they do have that weird overheating issue once it hits a certain amount of wattage. And that's what I'm really curious about with this new Intel generation. I don't really expect great things out of it. I'm expecting more once we get to the 16th generation at least, because Intel has a new leadership for that. And hopefully, because of the new leadership that they have, hopefully that will certainly hopefully that will unlock it. But Error Signal says, I think it's strange when some asked, what GPU do you recommend when they do not list the monitor that they use, what video games, if they do video editing or play with LL? Yeah, that's a very good question. Oh, really? So you'll never build with another AMD system. Interesting. So I got to ask you, Error Signal, what type of system do you have? Because personally to me, I feel that all PCs are great. I think Intel does a really good job with their chipsets as well, just as AMD. Now, it all depends on what you really use your system for. Now, some people feel really mixed about AMD, especially if you're looking for a PC that's more for content creation. If it's more for content creation, then it's usually better typically to go onto the Intel side, unless you're going with the higher end of AMD's, which is going to be like the 9950X3D. Their chipset is excellent for both content creation and gaming. Or are you looking for something that is strictly solely for content creation, which would be better for, like, say, a 9950X? Or for Intel, it would be the 14900K. So, Error Signal, what type of build do you have? Let me know in the comment. I would love to know what it is, because what was your last AMD build? I gotta ask, because it's been quite incredible. I gotta say, AMD has done great. For everyone that's Team Red, let me know. Put 1 if you're Team Red. If you're Team Blue, put 2. So that way I get a good idea, a good consensus of everybody that is out there that has their PC. Are you either Team Red? Put 1. If you're Team Blue, put 2. Let me know. I gotta see out there, how many people do we have versus Intel and AMD? Again, put 1 for Team Red, which is AMD. Put 2 for Team Blue. If any likes, whoever likes it, that is great. It doesn't matter to me. I am happy with any type of likes. So AMD is good for me. I just use PC for gaming, non-content creation, nor mining. Oh, okay. Yes, I agree. AMD is good for me. I just use a PC for game. AMD is great for that. AMD is excellent for when it comes to gaming especially. And that is going to be very hard for Intel to beat on that side. So Dave says for 1 first AMD build after 4 Intel's PCs. And you got to mention how you like it, Dave. You got to mention how you like it compared to Intel. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you for all the hearts out there. I appreciate it to all of you out there. Make sure if you are enjoying the content, please also like it, or please follow or subscribe. And for anyone that is also out there on the other platforms, make sure you do. A nice, cool animation will actually happen if you do. So I'm testing that feature out. I'm excited to try it out. And of course, it features Jonah, the star of the show, as he's passed out under the studio light. So, again, so it seems so far we got 2 AMD builders. I think we have, I'm pretty sure error signal is 1 Intel. Yes, just an old Intel. See, I feel like the 14700 is an excellent processor. Now, I feel like the 14700, that whole generation between the 12th and the 14th gen is pretty good. I especially like the 12th generation. The 13th and the 14th generation, I feel a bit mixed just because of the issues that they ran into, and they really lacked on the 15th generation. So at the same time, I am really excited to build this Intel PC just to see how it does, just to get a good idea of how it renders compared to AMD. That's what I'm also really curious about, and how it will also perform gaming-wise. That is the real question. So Error Signal says, last year I built it just to play games, so I cheaped out and air-cooled it at most CPUs between 10 to 15%, 4K, then got into editing and AI work, and ended up back in the store buying a 420 AIO. Wow, that's a large one. Did your case fit it perfectly fine? Because I know some cases are a bit difficult to put in it's a bit difficult to put a 420 millimeter. Sometimes you got to modify it in order to do so, but it's really a pain. But I'm glad you're able to get it in. I got to ask, what's your temperatures like? And please share your build. And everybody who is out there, I do also have a Discord channel. If you're trying to find it, it's also on my webpage. It's on the very bottom. Look for the picture of the Discord. It's going to be at chrismizo.com. And you could join it. You could share your battle stations. You could also share your benchmarks. You could show your before and after. You are free to share with everything over there. Oh, hang on, guys. It looks like the battery died here, but that's not a problem. I'm going to swap out the battery. Let's see. Apologize for that, guys. I am just putting the battery in. There we go. All right, perfect. I think we're just about to get signal back again. Apologize for that. Did not know that battery was that low already. There we go. We're back up just like that. A lot more prepared this time. I beat the stream this time. Because I was running into all sorts of issues. But man, I'm surprised that this USB cable isn't charging up the camera. I guess it's eating more battery than actual camera usage. But For everyone who does want to join the Discord channel, it's on my webpage. It's on chrismizo.com. Very easy, just like the name, chrismizo.com. And it will be down on the bottom of the page. You'll see a Discord button. It also has some really cool stuff like merch, and it does have its own store. I only got one thing up there so far, but I'm really excited to send it out to everybody. Feel free to check it out. And so Error Signal says his max load is at 70 Celsius with 100% core. 5 is the hot one, and all other cores are in 60s and lower. That's actually not too bad. So considering how much wattage you are getting outside of your Intel chipset, that's actually pretty good. What's up, BPD? Welcome. Also, so Alex Android also says that AMD caught up to Intel at both CPU and GPU now. It's just who sells more gimmicks, aka AI enhancing. That is very true. It's going to be, the funny thing is, when it came into the whole AI part, right? When it came to the whole rendering, it's nothing new. It's always been around. In fact, that's what DLSS, DLAA, that's what AFMF, all that stuff is really what they're calling AI, but now they're just making it more enhanced and just selling it as AI. But eventually it'll get to the point where it's actual AI, which will be a little bit more interesting. And of course, it won't happen in this generation. More than likely, we'll probably see a hint of it next year, once it gets to the Super Series, or when they introduce a different, like say a TI, maybe a 5090 Ti, if they introduce that, maybe you'll see like a hint of AI. But once it gets to the more serious stuff, and I know Error Signal has an idea of it, it could actually be way more advanced. Like it could be a lot more efficient when it comes to gaming for sure, if that's the case. So yes, I do outside work. Hopeful line. I do have an answer for you. Do you do anything for work outside of YouTube? I do. I actually, again, this is also part of the business that I run. I also run a PC service out there. So I actually work on other PCs as well. And then on top of it, I also do work a day job where I'm practically doing like working for the government, so to say. But I can't really share too much information on that side of it. But I'm always busy, I gotta say. There's not enough time in the day. In fact, I wake up 3:30 in the morning so that way I can start my day. That's how much work I do in a day. It's quite insane. And of course, I gotta include the gym time. That's why I have to get up a little bit earlier because of that. So, John there, he says, modular or non-modular PSU? Would non-modular be enough? Non-modular is perfectly fine. There is no problem with non-modular. If you're not familiar with a modular PSU, what he's talking about is a PSU. Actually, I got one right here. I can pull it out. So this one, this is something that's more like a modular PSU, right? Because what a modular PSU will actually have is direct ports in the back here. And it'll look something like this, right? And this is more modular because you can actually get a harness and you can plug it in. And if that PSU goes bad, you don't have to unplug everything that you have in order for you to replace the PSU. With modular, you can just replace the actual brick if you want to. But of course, the really right way to do it is you want to measure each type of wire to make sure that there isn't any type of short in it. But most of the time, once you replace a power supply, that's usually the source, then that will also fix the issue. But that's a good thing about modular. But the bad thing about modular is it is also more expensive because of that. Now, if you go non-modular, it's built in, so you can't just easily just swap out the cables. You would actually have to swap out the cables plus the power supply if your power supply goes bad. And also you have to have a little bit more patience when working with a non-modular supply, because then you have to try to route the wires before you actually install the PSU. So there is no bad one as long as if the rating is well. Like if it's, for example, this one is 80 plus gold, I think. Yeah, this one's 80 plus gold. And they also have ones where they're 80 plus platinum. I always recommend those 80 plus gold, 80 plus platinum. They do have silver and bronze, but I recommend getting either gold or platinum because then it becomes more power efficient in that way. Thank you for liking the live, Brand. And also, at the yeah, that's also a great mention. But it's that again, I can't really say too much about it. But the thing is, Sanchez MTZ says, can you do some PC repair videos like Greg Salazar? I would definitely watch them. Sure, I can definitely do some. As soon as I get more PCs in, I could definitely do something like that. Now, I have to hopefully run into something where it's more relatable to this channel. And I will definitely do it because I don't want to get to, unless you want to see everything. But our signal says, make sure you get by the ATX 3.1 PSU. They bumped up the signaling to 12 milliseconds from. Yes, that is also a great point. Our signal, what he is talking about is because of how they bumped up the signaling is not only does that help, but it also prevents any power spiking. So if you are doing any type of overclocking or anything like that, or your PSU won't send any weird signals through to where it will just jump up and just like drastically drop down, which can cause different issues. And that's what gives the problems, such as like the melting cables and everything with the RTX 5090s, because the resistance is so high. And meaning by resistance, meaning that because the resistance is so high that it doesn't have the what's the word for it? Really, the gauge for it. It doesn't really have the gauge for it because the wire's too thin, and because of that power spike, it can cause that melt. So that's what happens. Now, if you have a new ATX 3.1, it does help prevent it. And now some GPUs do have things to prevent power spiking, such as ASUS's RTX 5090 series cards. They have a signal to let you know, hey, there's something wrong. The signals are not right, and it will actually shut it down. But so Hopeful says, I have a classic B450 motherboard with AM4 with a Ryzen 7 2700X, potential a 4770 Ti in the future. Would you say it's worth upgrading both the MOBO and the CPU to AM5 MOBO? And I just get the best AM4. I would say it's definitely worth going to go to the AM5 side, because it's getting to the point where you won't see too many AM4 parts as much, and it's going to be to the point where, because it's legacy hardware, and when we do get to that point, then you're going to end up paying more money than what a AM5 part is. For example, you could end up paying more money for DDR4 possibly when it gets to that point, when it gets to that end of lifespan, to then what you would pay for, say, DDR5. So then it's worth the upgrade because of that. Oh, I'm Real Champion. RIP to my 5800 X3D. It will always be remembered. I still can't believe that deal that they had at Walmart where they had a 9800 X3D. It was only $100. I would still get it. Even in 2025, I would still get it just to have it. And BPT also says, I have an X870i Strix motherboard and I am 4 BIOS update late. Should I update? Yeah, certainly. But again, first I do have to mention about the BIOS is what has improved. Is it more system stability? Usually it typically is. That will definitely help it. But if there, okay. So hopefully said the answer. BPD says, everyone told me not to. I don't know why. Well, it's the people that are telling you not to is because some people get kind of sketched out when it comes to updating the BIOS. But honestly, updating the BIOS has become so easy to the point where you honestly don't have to worry. The main point you have to remember is when you do update the BIOS is use a flash drive. Do not use something that is like a, don't use like a portable SSD or a portable hard drive, because they're going to run on a different format, because they'll run on either NTFS. You want to run off of FAT32. And when you format it, you'll see that option when it comes up, because that is what is compatible with the BIOS. But that's the main key. And then what you would do is you would actually put the BIOS file into the USB. And then now most of these manufacturers, they'll have a easy flash tool, whether it's MSI or ASUS or Gigabyte. You just go into that easy flash tool and you'll be able to update it. I don't usually recommend doing it through the software. You could, but then it's always risky. Then you'll have to get into a case of like BIOS flashbacks just in case if there is a problem. But then again, like I said, when it comes to the BIOS, it's really not as bad anymore, especially because we have BIOS flashback. We have a lot of ways where we can reverse and fix the issues with the BIOS now compared to what it was before where that didn't exist. So that's one of those myths that ended a long time ago when it came to updating the BIOS for sure. And Eric says, I bought a new 1250 watt in prep for the 5090. That still has not showed up for 370. Nice. Yeah, it's definitely worth getting an ATX 3.1 for sure. 100% worth it, especially when you want to upgrade to the new 50 series, or even if you want to upgrade to the RTX 4090, it's really good too. And yeah, it's insane. The 9800 X3D was only $100, and it was hard to believe it. There was a picture of a post. If I find it, matter of fact, let me see if I can find it real quick. But the crazy part is it was only $100 for it, and it was on a Walmart shelf. I'm not sure exactly where it was, but it was inside of a Walmart for sure. 50 and but it was quite insane. There it is. And I got to share this picture with everybody out there because this is quite insane. Right here. Take a look at that. $99.75 to be exact. Oh wait, this is even better. This one's the 7800 X3D. That's a deal if that's for a 7800 X3D. They had another one too, I remember. But yeah, that is a deal. I would have probably bought them all, right? But so is the 5090 in that PC? Not yet. That video will be coming out soon. The 5090 video will be, I'm working on it currently, but it is right behind me, so you can see the 5090. And that was a mofo to put in. That really was. It felt like building a PC putting that in because of that extra fan. It kind of complicates things. And it really it took a little bit longer because the way the bracket is. I didn't use the old Gigabyte bracket that came with it. Instead, thank you for all the likes, JB. Good to see you in here. But it takes a lot more legwork now to install the newer cards. It feels like you're installing a PC into a PC almost at this point. You're installing fans. You're installing the harness for it, the ARGB wire, the fan wire, and then plus you got to install a bracket in the back of it, and then you have to make sure to mount it. But I can say for sure, when I did remove the GPU, I actually had no issues with the case, and this was the Corsair 5500X case. And with the Corsair 5500X case, I did not have an issue taking it out. Again, when you do remove it off of a ASUS X870E, the Crosshair Hero, you do it from the back end first. You don't do it from the front end. You do it from the back end, and it will just come out. But again, maybe this case had more room than other cases because I've heard others where they ran into the issue to where they had problems pulling out the X870E off the X870E. And this is like one of the first ones that they really came out with, so I still have that metal trim onto the bottom of it. But our signal says most AMD consumer CPUs users do not know the chip was streamlined to have high frames at low res. But yeah, it really does. It really does change fast. Also, I have a 3.0 PSU, and that's also great. Anything that's ATX 3 or ATX 3.1, they're all great for a PC case and great for a PC build. I highly recommend going to ATX 3 or ATX 3.1 at this point. Don't really bother with the older stuff because at this point, they're practically now legacy hardware at this time. Now, Hopeful Line says, a 9800 X3D here in the UK where I live is an incredible $600, 6 times the price than just for one is absolutely insane. Agreed. I feel the pricing has gotten really crazy. I got to show you guys this. In fact, the pricing is so crazy, right? When it comes to hardware and everything, I have to share this with you guys because this might shock you, this might not shock you, especially with the pricing of PC hardware. Now, for you guys on TikTok, I know you guys can't see it, but what I'm showing now is the pricing, how much it has changed everything. And this is what the pricing is now for a Logitech G Pro X Superlight 2. Currently, the pricing for it now is $179.99 for a 2-year-old mouse, which is a bit crazy. Oh yeah, you got the same chair at work? It's a great chair. I really love this chair. I actually bought this used because it's, again, bit on the high-end side. And this chair, I got it for like $400, I think, off of Facebook Marketplace. It was a great deal, and I had to pick it up. And I highly recommend anyone out there who is looking at a Herman Miller chair, get one. It's 100% worth it. It feels so much better compared to like sitting on the cardboard boxes like a gaming chair, allegedly, the ones where you sit on and it just is really rough. And oh, nice. That's a great one. Also, I always wanted, and ironically, I've always wanted to try the Embody, the Herman Miller Embody, just because of how dope that looks. You can just sit on there like any way you want. And it's a large chair, but I don't know how comfortable it is. I like the breathability of these chairs because you can actually put a fan behind you and you can feel the wind compared to like those leather chairs where you just it'll just leave your sweat marks just sitting in the chair from it all day. And that can be a pain. But that is a bit insane. So anyways, catch up with you later. I'll have to play video games with my friends that are a part of the CIA. Awesome. Have fun. Also, what do you guys think about that for hardware wise? When it comes to Logitech, they already raised up the prices for it. With Newegg, another one which is quite insane. I've seen them mark up the prices for the RTX 5070s, and they've marked them up as high as $950 for a RTX 5070, not a Ti, but then the Ti is just a little bit lower than that. I have the G Pro wireless. I like it. People are saying it's really one of the best mouses that they have, or mice that they have for the for Logitech compared to the G502X. The one that I currently have is this one here, but usually I use this one more for like my creative stuff. And I used to use it more for gaming because I like the extra buttons that it does have. It has the extra macros you can program into there. And I would used to use it for different settings, for whether if it's on first-person shooters such as Call of Duty, or if I was in a game such as like something like Baldur's Gate 3, where I would put different macros into it too. But the only thing is, I noticed the difference between this. It has the Hero sensor, the 25K Hero sensor on there, but I noticed it's not as sensitive compared to the ASUS one that I do have, which is the Harp Ace. The Harp Ace is it's the Ace, the Keras 2. I'm sorry, the Keras 2. It's a really super accurate. Like the DPI is really good on it. So I wonder how the G Pro wireless is like. It was not too pricey. I think I paid $60. That's actually a really great price because a lot of gaming mice, you would think they would look like super crazy, but the gaming mice, like for example, I got from ASUS here, is something like this. It just looks like a very ordinary mouse. It looks like a $20 mouse, right? But for this mouse here, it's like I think it was $150 for this mouse. But luckily, ASUS did provide this mouse for us to give it a review. It's a great mouse. I really like it a lot, and now I use it for my dedicated for my gaming rig. But compared to the Logitech, it is a lot more sensitive in that sense, and it's very light. So I'm curious how the Superlight is because again, I've heard great things about it, and I just like the feel of I'm guessing it's more of a less buttons compared to this, because again with the gaming mice, for some reason they'll only have maybe 2 extra buttons and that's it, like a true gaming mouse apparently. But again, when it came to the RTX 5070s, which I will look up real quick, the RTX 5070s are priced up significantly. I mean, some RTX 5070s cost more than a 5070 Ti. Now tell me how that makes sense. And let me see if they really corrected the price, because I even put sold by Newegg to make sure that it wasn't one of those weird retailers that Newegg has where they just outprice everything. And it looks like, yeah, it looks like they fixed it somewhat. Yeah, they fixed it. Because earlier in the week, I'll show you what it looked like, because I actually have it right here on my page, which is pretty funny. And it is quite significantly priced. So Unreal Champion says I play on a controller. I wanted a wireless mouse that didn't suck like my old Corsair. Yeah, the funny thing is I did a review on those Corsair mouses and they have not been very good. They have not been that great, I gotta say. If you tried Corsair's mouse, like the Dark Pulse, I think it is. Was it the Dark Pulse? It's almost like a knockoff of the Logitech of this one, like the Hero mouse, the G502, but it just isn't there. And the switches are a little bit cheaper. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but the switches are a bit cheaper compared to what they use for the Logitech mouses. And Unreal Champion says I had 2 Iron Claws and they both broke the same way, and that's the problem. They have an issue. A lot of times it's with the switches, and the switches will typically break on them, which can be quite the problem. Now, let me see here. Right here. So I'm going to share this with you guys. This to show you like what it was originally. Now, you see for that Zotac Solid OC GeForce RTX 5070 that I actually just put in over the weekend, if you didn't see that long format video. And so I just said for fun here, I said, think they'll price match it at Micro Center? I mean, think Newegg will price match Micro Center just to be funny, because as up here you can see I put sold by Newegg, and then right here is this Zotac Solid Overclock Edition, which is 12 gigabytes, and it's for $949. But if you look right under it for the MSI Ventus, it's $899. So you could literally buy a better GPU for cheaper, which makes absolutely no sense at all. Tell me how that makes any sense. Now, Unreal Champion says, call me champ. Yeah, Unreal sounds like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good idea. I could call you just champ. That's a good idea, because then I won't, again, I feel like I always have problems saying my R's. I don't say my R's too well. And so what are your thoughts about the RTX 5060? Everybody who is just joining in, I'm Chris Mizo. I talk about PC and tech. If you like this kind of content, make sure you stick around, because this is what we talk about. If you need help with the PC build that you have, you're trying to figure out an issue, please feel free to ask. And also make sure you check out all my content, because this is what we do. I look over at different hardware, and I also look at different PC builds to get a good idea of where the pricing is, to just share what is really fair for when it comes to pricing, especially because if you're looking to buy a PC build, like I tell everybody out there, you don't have to go max out at a RTX 5090. You don't have to get the best graphics card, the RTX 5090, which more than likely you're not going to fill up all the VRAM anyway if you're just using it for gaming. But again, you could build a PC for easily, like a great PC, for about $1,800-$1,900. You could certainly do it, especially if you're thinking of switching from a console. Now, Champ says, I told my son to buy the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte. He has a 1440 240 hertz monitor. I think that will do the trick. I think it will. I think it certainly will, and especially is he playing games such as Fortnite, and probably he's probably playing those type of games as well, because those type of games you don't really need. You really, I'm telling you, everybody out there who plays games like Fortnite or Minecraft or any of those type of games, you really honestly do not. I apologize, champ. Anybody, but I was just saying, anybody out there who has knows somebody that does play Minecraft or Fortnite or any of those type of games, you really don't have to go for a RTX 5090. You could easily opt in for a RTX 5060 Ti and you would do perfectly fine. So, okay, I apologize about that, champ. But no, but I agree with you. You're thinking correctly, because it also does depend on the monitor that you use. If you're trying to output 4K resolution, or are you trying to output at least like ultra-wide, which is 21.9, like a 1440p resolution. They do have 1440p monitors where they're more like 27-inch ones. Oh, okay. Yeah, esports makes sense too, because if he's playing, say, like games like Counter-Strike's also a type of game where you don't really need, it's not really graphically demanding. And that's another issue that we're running into, is that we need to get to the point to where game developers start to optimize their games, because it is not looking too good. If you're wondering what I'm doing, just solving the TikTok puzzles that they're giving me. There we go. There we go. But if you are playing games like esports such as Counter-Strike and you're looking for more of high refresh, but you're not putting it on a large display, then a graphics card like a 5060 Ti could do. Even what a RX 7700 could do. Or even a 6600 could even do. Now, again, you want to look at the specifications of the type of game that you're playing. Now, don't expect this out of Last of Us 2, because Last of Us 2, for example, that just got released on PC, not very well optimized, and because of it, it's going to demand a little bit more power. So if you know the type of game that you are playing, make sure to check out the specifications, because then you have an idea of where you want to start your build. Get a list of 5 or 6 different games that you play and get the specifications for each one of them. Then you'll have a good indication of where you want to build your PC. So, do you have the hard to run games like, i.e., Alan Wake? Yes, I certainly do. But I haven't played Alan Wake just yet, or Last of Us 2 just yet, because I wanted Alan Wake 2 specifically to go onto Steam first, because I don't really like going onto other launchers. Last of Us 2, I haven't just downloaded it yet or played it yet, but I would love to, just to get a good idea. Well, to get a good indication of where it is, I'll just give you an example of where Last of Us 2 specifications are. Now, if you're looking to play a game like Last of Us 2 Remastered, and we'll look up the specs, because then say you're building a PC for that specific game. Now, if you're building a PC for that specific game, it will require at least, let's see here. So now, what the minimum is. This is just the minimum. You're just trying to run just so that way you can play it. So the minimum it recommends is at least a i3 8100K with a Ryzen 3 1300X, which is really minimal. That's super minimal. The RAM is 16 gigabytes they recommend at least, and a GTX 1650. Now, the dedicated video RAM it recommends is at least 4 gigabytes. And last but not least, the OS it recommends is between Windows 10 or Windows 11. Now, for Last of Us 2 Remastered, and now for the higher recommendations, the ones where you can actually enjoy the gameplay, the one where you can actually enjoy the quality of the game, it recommends at least the 8000 gen of the Intel Core, which is going to be like the i5 8600, and the AMD Ryzen 5 3600 at the most recommended, the RAM at 16 gigabytes, and at least a RTX 3060. That's your key answer you're looking for. So anything that can go above a 3060, you're good. Anything above a 50 RX 5700, you are also good. Now, the dedicated video RAM, it recommends at least 8 gigabytes. So from then and there on, you know you will be at your cap, especially if you're going for a 5060. So you want to go for 5060 Ti if you want to be able to game comfortably onto Last of Us 2. Now, I do agree. I feel that the older titles are also better to play. Actually, in fact, out of curiosity, because of the RTX 5090, because they took away the whole DX9, and they also took away PhysX is back in a way, because now they allow you to play open source version of PhysX or use advanced PhysX, because some games do recommend to use it. But I am curious how it's going to be to play New Vegas, because New Vegas is DX9, so is Fallout 3. There is also, I'm more curious about how Mirror's Edge is going to run on the RTX 5090. So I did download those games just to get an idea to see if it's able to even run those games in the first place, because that's also a big concern if you are also upgrading to the next gen. Now, for those who don't know, or probably may have seen the rumor already, that allegedly that Elder Scrolls will release, they will also release Oblivion on April 21st. Now, we don't know exactly how true that is. If Oblivion does get released, it is going to be a remastered version. And the funny thing is, the very next game that they plan to remaster after that is allegedly Fallout 3. So again, it almost seems like they're getting to the point where they want to remake certain titles because that there is no more DirectX 9. So a lot of your favorite DirectX 9 games that you love will more than likely get remastered into the newer engines, such as DirectX 12, which we're currently on now. And a lot of companies have been loving to use Unreal Engine 5, which is like Monster Hunters, Wilds. They've been using it, which I'm really excited to. I've been having a lot of fun on that recently. I gotta say, if you are a Monster Hunters Wilds fan, let me know. It's been a lot of fun messing with that game. First time I played it, but it is absolutely fun. It is 100% fun. Gotta get a little bit of caffeine in there. But anyway, going back to the RTX 5060. Now, for also another thing about the RTX 5060, if you do get it, make sure to upgrade your driver. They finally released a driver to where it will fix the blackout screen issues. For those who experienced the driver issues when it came to the RTX 30 and the 40 series where the screen blacked out when you updated it, today is the day where Nvidia actually released a driver out there to where you can update it to where it shouldn't black out, where it fixes a lot of those issues. So if you do have a Nvidia card, you can certainly update your driver and you will be good to go, and it should fix the issue. So for those who have those problems, make sure to update to today's driver. Check it out. It's going to be a game-ready driver. So any blacked out issues or any weird issues that you have with your RTX 30 or 40 series, it should fix it. No more using December's firmware, December's drivers anymore. You could now finally go into 2025. And it only took Nvidia 4 months to fix it, but all is well if it does work. But if you are thinking of going to the RTX 5060 or the RTX 5060 Ti, also think about AMD, because AMD also has a great selection with the RX 9070 XT. I've been really impressed by it, and no, I'm not sponsored by AMD or anything like that. This is just my personal opinion. I was very impressed by AMD's 9070 XT, especially because you're only spending a little bit over $700 for this card, and it performs really well. The only difference is the ray tracing is 1 generation behind. Path tracing is about 2 generations behind, so they're back in that sense. But other than that, when it comes to rastering and when it comes to textures, they've been excellent on that side. Now, how the turntables have turned. Remember when Team Green fans made fun of AMD drivers? That's the crazy part. Now it almost seems like a curse, because ever since Nvidia has come out with their ever since Nvidia has come out with with their Nvidia app, which I'm sure everybody has by now, with the Nvidia app, it almost seems problematic. Like anytime that it actually caused frames to drop. If you had the Nvidia app originally, there was problems where you almost lost about like 5 or 10% performance. And then finally they pushed out an update to where it was perfectly fine, and it was all because of the game filters. You actually had to go in there manually to turn them off, otherwise you would constantly have that issue. So Nvidia did fix that side of it, and then soon after came those different firmware issues. But I'm glad that Champ has been stable with Nvidia's app. And the funny thing is, during the beta period, I gotta say, during Nvidia's app, there was no problem. Like, for everyone who was in the beta period of Nvidia's app, I experienced no problems. It was great. But once they went official, that's when the little issues I've experienced, such as that. But ever since then, they've updated it a few times, and it's been better since. But there have been like weird issues. Thank you for the hearts. I appreciate it. So feel free to ask if you have any PC build questions. If you got a RTX 5060, let me know. Put it down in the comments down below. Let me know how excited you are for it. If you got it from Newegg, if you got it from Micro Center, if you got it for a great deal, because some of the deals that what I've seen on Newegg has been a little ridiculous for some of them. Now, some of those RTX 5060 Ti's, like specifically, I think it was Gigabyte's one, $549 for it, which is a bit high. Now, the thing is, I joke at least, when it comes to the pricing, when Nvidia ever says the pricing, when they say it's $299 for a RTX 5060, it's never really $299 because you have to multiply it, and everyone forgets the variable for the multiplier, which is times the AIB. So whatever the MSRP is from Nvidia, then it's times the AIB, which is whatever they cost. So it's going to be at least about $350 or $400 for a 5060, and then for a 5060 Ti, it's going to be at least a little bit over $500, or even a little less than $500 if you're lucky to get one. If you were lucky to get it, yes, champ. The 5060 just got released out today. 5060 Ti is not released. I'm sorry, the 5060 Ti has been released today. Now, the 5060 has not been released yet. The 5060 will be released in May. For those who are looking, it does exist. The 5060 is out. And if you're looking to get one, look for the Ti, because the 5060 you are not able to get just quite yet. The 5060, it was today on April 16th. That was when they decided to release it. In fact, the great thing is, Champ, actually somebody was just asking me how to get one, and I recommended him just to go on Newegg. Newegg's honestly the easiest place to purchase a GPU compared to all the other retailers. If you compare Best Buy, if you compare, unless you have a Micro Center close to you, that would be the next easier step. But then again, I don't know if you're going to be willing to wait outside a Micro Center out for 8 hours, because you will have people waiting out there to get the card. But if you're going on the internet and you're trying to purchase the RTX 50 series, easiest way to do it is go off of Newegg first. Amazon's near impossible. Best Buy is just a mess. Their lines never work. Their queues are just terrible. For anyone who has went through that process already knows just how bad of a system that they really do have. Now, let me see here. I just got to check something out, guys. Make sure that the feed is okay here. But yeah, other than that, it just seems like the pricing is the variable that's been really throwing everything off. I feel the pricing could be a lot better, especially because we have so many cards out now, soon to be 5060. Well, we had the 5060, the 5060 Ti. It's going to be 5070, 5070 Ti, and now we have the 5080 and the 5090. That's 6 cards from Nvidia. And then with AMD, soon they're supposed to release their 9060. The 9060 is supposed to be more of an even better budget to purchase, or you could go for the 9070 or the 9070 XT. So for any of those cards, you can certainly take a look at them. I highly suggest the 9070 XT. I would love to bring it over here, but it's inside of a PC case. I should have just put it right behind me on the desk. But it's quite insane, like the design of it. I love it. And it has a real, it's really nice looking aesthetically. And especially because of how you can hide the harness for the 12 volt high power port. This one does use it. And this one has specifically a great PSU in there as a Seasonic titanium, the 80 plus titanium, not titanium, 80 plus platinum, to where it is very good on power efficiency. So even at 100% loads, you're only really using at 90%. It will only break down to, it will use 90% power efficiency. Sorry about that. But it is an excellent PC so far that I've been using it. I've loved it so far. But I'm really curious to see how well the RTX 5090 holds up. And it's funny because testing the RTX 4090, I just forgot how much wattage the RTX 4090 really does take up. But it kept maxing out like around 450 watts. So, but now I'm going to be really pushing to 575 watts. And I'm even questionable about the PSU that I'm using. I'm using a 1000 watt PSU in there now, which I really don't like doing because that's like the minimum required one. So John Neri says, do you think the prices of the 40 series will go down now that the 50 series have now been released? It's supposed to be down. It's supposed to be a lot more fair in pricing. But because of how high the pricing is for the 50 series, it almost made the 40 series gain value, ironically. Because say it gets to the point where the market gets more saturated. Say more people do have RTX 5080s and 5090s. Then from there, you could probably see price fluctuations then. And unfortunately, we won't probably see price fluctuations till like maybe like summertime. And when you do, you might see like say a used 5090 for maybe 2,500, right? Because that person bought a 5090 for say 3,000, including the tax. Now, if they were to sell it for 2,500, then for technically the 4090, which was sold at the MSRP price of say $1,500 or $1,600 plus the AIB, when they buy it through AIB, it should be like technically like maybe about 12 or like even 1,000. But now because of how high the pricing is, it just seems like the value of it of the RTX 4090 just say will kind of practically hold the price range for where it's at now. So you might see a RTX 4090 easily for like maybe about 1,300 to 1,600 about, which is insane because at the time it was only $1,500 a purchase, MSRP anyway. But JW Cruz says, I wish I could find a 5090, but yeah, I know. It was really tough, JW. Like when I went to go find this 5090, luckily I was able to get my hands on it. And again, like it was hard enough to try to reach out to the different companies that I work with and to try to get one, and they still have trouble. I even have trouble getting 5070 Ti's from them even, which is kind of ridiculous. But John says, sorry, what month will summertime be here? I'm sorry. So John, the meeting by the summer, it'll probably be like around June or July. So probably like 6 or 7 month wise. And then you can see like the price fluctuations change there. It should be more readily available. And there should be a lot more 5090s. It's supposed to be about, around this week. It should be a lot more coming in. Like 5080s and 5090s. It's within this week or the next week, at least. But there's supposed to be a lot more coming in. And when it does, that could help fix the pricing, at least somewhat. But don't expect a big price adjustment just quite yet, just because of how messy the PC hardware market is. Even the funny thing is, as we mentioned earlier in the past lives, that even though the tariffs are in place, technically, it seemed like tariffs would affect everything, right? Apparently, when it came to the semiconductors and everything like that, it was actually at 0%. So because of that, our hardware should actually not really be getting charged that much tariffs. So that should be fixed. It's almost at the point where some companies are just doing it to price gouge. So that's not fair for the consumer wise. They just use that as an excuse to overcharge their customers, which is a bit ridiculous. Now, I gotta say, when it comes to the GPU market, if you're looking for a GPU, I highly suggest to look for the specification that you do need, because Champ brought up a great point that do not buy a GPU that you feel that you need. You buy a GPU that you do need. So you want to look at the games that you've purchased first, look them up. You could easily look them up, say Last of Us 2, which I just shared with you guys. And if you look up those specifications, then you have a good idea of where to start your build at least. And honestly, you could really start your build from a really good point, like with AM5, with say even the 7000 series chipsets, or you can even start with Intel's 14th generation or 13th generation chipsets. They're also great. And then from there on, you want to figure out the rest of your hardware. Most important points though, when it comes to building your PC, especially now, and a most overlooked aspect is actually the power supply. If you get a decent power supply, you get especially ATX 3 or ATX 3.1, because again, it helps prevent power spiking, and on top of it, it'll help you future-proof your PC, especially for those who want to use it for things like such as gaming. Because if you use it for gaming, then you'll also be 12 volt high power port ready, and on top of it, you'll have power spike prevention on top of it, and it will actually last you a lot longer of a time, because many of those PSUs have like 10-year warranties on them now. So Harp says, I bought a B580 last week, playing CNC Generals with it. Command and Conquer. Yeah, that's a great game too. I actually miss playing that game. Games that they really had to bring back are like RTSs, because RTSs, I gotta say, are missed. Like a real RTS game, because back when Blizzard was in its heyday, that was when they had some really great hits. And I really miss like the days like when we had like games like Total War, and games like Warcraft 3, which were like prior to World of Warcraft and everything, but they were great games. But you don't really see them as much now. It seems like almost everything has like moved on over to into like phone RTS games. But when it comes to the RTX 5060, and you want to keep your eyes out on May, because again, that's when they are supposed to release their RTX 5060s NVIDIA. And then AMD will also be releasing their 9060s very soon. And again, they're very tight with each other. Again, I got to ask everybody out there, what type of team are you on this year, especially in 2025? Are you team red? Are you team blue? Or are you team green? Feel free to put it in the comments. I gotta know, because I am curious about everybody out there who is into PCs and tech. I have not met too many people that are team blue. So far, I've only seen one user that is actually team blue, maybe two, but I know for sure I've only seen one. And for everyone who is just joining in, I also do want to mention that there is also a free giveaway that is coming up. There was a free giveaway just in the prior weeks, but unfortunately they did not claim the prize. So there will actually be only 2 prizes this week that will be coming up on Saturday. Make sure you join the live stream for that. And for this live stream, it will be for the, let me pull it out here, which is the Samsung 990 Pro right here. And you can put it inside of a PS5, or you can put it inside of your PC. Well, if you put it inside of your PS5, you see that little black heatsink right there. Make sure to put that in, because you need to have a heatsink in for the PS5. Now, if you have it in your PC, you don't really have to put it in, because PCs have a decent heatsink built in, and you really honestly don't need to use these heatsinks that come with these SSDs, because they just are no match compared to the motherboard SSDs. So in order to join the contest, again, it'll be this Saturday on the live stream, and it'll be posted on the website and you'll go to www.chrismizo.com to check it out. If you want to check out the store, that's where you can also get the merch. It's also on the TikTok shop and the YouTube shop as well. And it is also has its own shop to where I also have PCs up there for sale as well. If you're interested in looking to purchase a PC, or if you can also request to build a custom PC. So I see Harp says he is Team Blue and Team Green. That is like one of the originals, I gotta say. When it came to PC building, that was always the top tier. Especially back in the day, you would always be Team Blue and Team Green together. AMD was like not the product that anyone wanted to put in. Especially, I gotta say, for, what was it? Like maybe about, it's been a while. Like more like about 6 years ago, I gotta say. And they just ran everything. It wasn't until Intel started to run things into the ground after the 8th gen. Once it hit the 9th gen and the 10th gen, that's when it started getting sketchy. And Intel started to kind of go a little bit off red. So Radeon says he's Team Red. What about you guys? Let me know. Are you Team Blue, Team Red, or Team Green? I got to know. Because it's very interesting to see this. Especially the difference between when it comes to PC gaming and when it comes to either content creation. What makes you go to that side? What makes you go to Team Red? What makes you go to Team Blue? Also, if you've joined the Discords, pretty soon what I do plan on doing is we could do some interviews on live. So I will put you up on live. Just join the Discord channel. If you are looking for that Discord channel, it is on my webpage. It's on chrismizo.com. Just how it sounds, chrismizo.com, and just go down to the description, go all the way to the bottom. You'll see a Discord icon. Click it, and it will join you to your server. Thank you for subscribing, Harp. Thank you. I appreciate it. But I do gotta say, I did really love the whole Team Blue and Team Green. Even, in fact, the last build, I gotta say, like one of the builds that I really enjoyed was that I did a 12900K with it was an Nvidia RTX. I think it was an Nvidia RTX 2080 Ti at the time. And those two really went together. I think it was later that year that they came out with the 3080. And I think I ended up waiting for the 3080 Ti. And when they came out with the 3080 Ti, that's when I swapped over. But it was a little bit of a wait to get it. But I certainly do love seeing the different competitions, especially each year, compared to when it comes to AMD and it comes to Nvidia and it comes to Intel. It just shows you how fierce the competition really can be. And it seems like, I just hope AMD isn't afraid to step on the pedal this year, because they could really take advantage of it. But it almost seems like every time there's an opportunity for it, and so I don't know how, but AMD seems like they don't go for it. But even like in the beginning of the year when the whole CES 2025 happened, I was kind of really sketched out about their whole, when they had their whole meeting. When we went over to CES 2025, and I joined in on the AMD meeting side. And the crazy part is, like when I was sitting in, and we were all expecting them to show off their RX 9000 series then, they just showed one slide of the I think it was RDNA 4, and they kind of just moved on straight to the 9950 X3D. They didn't even bother talking about their 90 series GPUs. So it threw everybody off, because it was in their slides that they were going to show it, but they never showed it. But it was at CES when you go to different brands such as ASUS, and you went to MSI and Gigabyte, they all had the 9070 there, but they just did not show it. But when Nvidia had their showing, thank you for the hearts. When Nvidia had their showing, then they had showed their RTX 5070, how it could compete against the RTX 4090. But we all know how that went. But anyway, it was only $499, and that's what I believe really spooked AMD into, somehow they heard about it right before them, because AMD's meeting was actually in around the afternoon. I think it was like around 12. I think it was like 12 or 1. And Nvidia's wasn't till the evening. In fact, they even went to they took over the Michelob Stadium over in Vegas. That's how big their conference was. But it was just insane that how their information just leaked out somehow to AMD, and they just did not want to share it until they got better information. And we didn't really get good information about AMD until February. But that's just a good indication of how the competition could be. But now, like anything else, it's kind of like the tortoise and the hare, right? You have like the hare that's running all over the place, and then you had the tortoise is in the back just trying to just, take his time at his own pace, trying to beat them. And the hare is kind of like Nvidia, and the tortoise is just like AMD. But I don't know how, but if the tortoise was AMD, they must have tripped over a rock or something, because every time it comes to when they come close, they kind of like go back. They fall back out of the competition. So we'll see exactly what happens. See if AMD really takes it up a notch, and I really hope they do, because the good thing is good night, champ. It was good to see you over here. I gotta say, when it comes to the whole competition wise, the reason why it's good to have competition is because then that can cause more fair pricing. When there is fair pricing in the market, then you can expect cheaper prices. When you have one dominant force, such as Nvidia, and they know they can charge this much for it, and it sells out no matter what, that is a large problem. Because you know what that means? Next year, when they show off the, say, RTX 5090 Ti or RTX 5090 Super, just say, or 5080 Super, they can charge it at a higher price because they know people bought it at that price. Because when you really think back about the RTX 4080, when they first released it, when it was $1,300. It was $1,300 for the RTX 4080, and it was not well received, especially because it's only a $200 difference. Actually, I think it was $1,200, but it was a $300 difference between the RTX 4090 and the RTX 4080. People did not buy the RTX 4080 because they knew how expensive it was. It was too expensive to really be that close to the RTX 4090. So people didn't purchase it. And you know what happened? Nvidia ended up dropping their prices $100. So instead, you could purchase a RTX 4080 for $1,100 compared to paying $1,200. And that's what honestly should be done. You should not buy a card just because it looks and sounds good, but you also have to think if the value is there. For example, this RTX 5090 that's in this case, right? That's right behind me. Now, this card's worth $3,000. Is it an incredible card? I gotta say, so far when I benched it, I only benched it through a couple benches. I gotta say, it's very good. It's an excellent card I've seen so far. But is it worth $3,000? I would say no, it's not worth $3,000. I don't think any card should really be worth over $3,000, especially for what type of task you are going to be using it for. Like for the 5090, if you're just going to use it for gaming, it's not going to be worth $3,000. You're not really using it for the whole work use wise. It would be great for AI training and everything too. Great for LLMs and everything like that. Like you can actually build its own, you could build its own module inside of here. You could build your local AI machine anyway, which would be great. But let me let my dog through. He wants to get through. Come here. I don't know if you guys could hear him. Now he's just walking through, and he just wants that pat on the head. But if you're not going to be using it for that type of use, it's not going to be worth it. Now, if you're looking at 5080s, I could see the value in it then because, again, the card's a lot cheaper. Now, MSRP, it's $1,000. Now, after AIB pricing, it's more around $1,200 to $1,300, maybe at the most. In fact, let me take a look at it. I'm just curious because maybe I'm curious if they even adjusted the pricing at all, if any. So the RTX 5080, wow, actually they did. Let me just make sure it's sold by Newegg because I want to make sure that we get the right pricing here. That's actually a little high. Like for the RTX 5080, right? Some of them are asking for $1,800. This is for a Zotac solid core. That's insane, actually. That's a bit high. See, technically they should be $1,000, right? But because of the different pricing, they've been really pushing it up. I'll just share it with you guys, just so I can show you guys. Because tell me how that makes sense. Right here, right? The ASUS TUF Gaming GeForce RTX 5080, 16 gigabytes. It's around $1,484, right? That's not terrible, right? Because once I go down further, you'll see the true terror. Because even how is this more? How is Zotac's card more? But anyway, the ASUS ROG Astral, which is their high-end ASUS card, which is their best ASUS card because it's their ROG. It's better than even their Republic of Gaming cards. It is $1,649. So Dave S says Micro Center has 5080s for $1,400 to $1,600. They didn't even sell out today. See, that's a good thing because you know what? Let's take a look at the local Micro Center here in Miami, right? I'm just curious because Miami has been a real hot spot when it's been coming for 5080s anyway. Let's take a look at 5060s. And let's see. And we're going to check the availability for 5060 Ti's because 5060s haven't been out yet. Sold out. $500. Zotac GeForce RTX 5060 Ti. $500. 9070 XT won't stay on shelves. Yeah, that's true. And the stock really has been on the slow side when it comes to the stock of the RX 9070 XTs. They go out quick. And again, it's an incredible card. I highly recommend anybody who is thinking about a RTX 5080. I highly recommend you guys to check out the RX 9070 XT. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. Check out my channel. You'll see the benchmarks. You'll be impressed. In fact, they're so close to a RTX 5080, you're practically getting a great deal for that pricing. And let alone if you're going for if you're trying to beat out a RTX 4070 Ti, you easily can do it. It's very close to the 5070 Ti. It just depends on the settings. Now, I'm not saying with ray tracing it's the best. But Micro Center, I checked this morning, had 9070s going down. And it goes out quick. I'm curious. Okay, I'm just going to put 50 series, right? I'm going to put 5090 just just to test it out. They say they got 2 in stock. Okay, that doesn't count. It's a laptop and they're Dell Optiplex. For those on TikTok who are wondering, let's try 5080. Yeah, I agree. Anything over $800 is terrible. And specifically for the RX 9070 XTs, you should not be paying that much for it. Now, so far, they do have a 5080s. They have 5 in stock in Miami. So if you're in the Miami area trying to get a 5080, they do have 5 in stock. But are you willing to pay $1,400 for it? Do you think it's worth this much for a this is for a Zotac overclock edition. It seems like they've been running into those a lot more common. Now, I think a lot of people have been avoiding Zotac for one particular reason, and I can tell you why. And a lot of people were scared of this. And I checked it myself when I had when I did this upgrade from a RTX 3080 to a RTX 5070. When I checked the ROPs, they were perfectly fine. Now everybody's panicking about the ROPs because they're worried that they're not going to be all in there. Just check it. You can easily get tech power-ups, GPU-Z, and you can go in there and you can check the ROPs, make sure they're all in place because it will tell you immediately. And don't be afraid of getting Zotac. Zotac is perfectly fine. There's no type of there's no reason for you to be scared of getting Zotac cards. So certainly they're great cards. Benchmarking them, they're also pretty decent. I was pretty impressed by it. But if you're looking for ASUS, they're also great. But again, there's certain brands that I realize have certain issues. Some have a little bit more coil whine than others. That is one of the things that is one of my pet peeves when it comes to graphics cards. If it has a coil whine, it kind of turns me off from it. But again, it would have to be a little consistent, because ASUS's, specifically this is ASUS's Strix RTX 3080 Ti. It had this coil whine even when I was not in game. Even though it was very slight, you would still notice it. It would kind of bother you, especially if you're like, you have it right there next to you. So if you are in game, you probably won't notice it. It won't matter as much, but that is one of the things you have to watch out for. If you get any graphics card, you want to check out if your card has any type of coil whine, and you'll notice it right away, because it kind of sounds like a high pitching sound, and it could get quite annoying. Now, so it seems Micro Center is certainly the #1 place to get GPUs for sure. Best Buy, you can forget about Best Buy, because Best Buy doesn't have anything in stock. In fact, the best thing they probably have in stock is the 5800 X3D, maybe, if you're lucky, because everything they have for some reason is out of date. And it's honestly, and I discussed this with everybody out there who's been to Best Buy, because they've been falling out. But I know one of these days I'm going to do a live stream with you guys. We're going to go to Best Buy to check them out, see exactly what they have, because you'll just get an idea of where they're at currently when it comes to electronics. It used to be a good store, it really did, but I feel like they kind of fell apart, especially after the whole physical media going away. Except for I just found out that they do still have physical games, but for some reason at the Best Buy at my location, it seems like they don't really have that many games. They seem like they only have like those end cap shelves, and it doesn't really have that many games. And it's a shame, because physical games are also going away. I know a lot of people do not like that, but I gotta say, when it comes to Best Buy, is probably one of the last places I would look for a graphics card. Go Micro Center, check out Newegg, and also if you do purchase a graphics card from Best Buy, make sure it is online. Their online store is much better than their actual physical brick and mortar store, because it just does not, they don't really have that great of a supply. Now, Walmart is actually improving. Target is also, I wouldn't say Target's that great either, but I would say Walmart's pretty good when it comes to PC items. They actually have things like, they actually have Razer keyboards, Corsair mouses, and they also have different items such as different hardware as well. Just as I showed you guys, they had a 7800 X3D on sale for like $99, which is insane. And you never know. So check out your Walmarts and everything too. You might be pleasantly surprised. So if you're there just trying to pick up something, just stop by the gaming section and the PC side. You may be surprised what you find, because they do have some good treasures over there, especially if you're looking to upgrade your controller, or if you're trying to switch over to upgrade a piece of hardware. It's one of those underrated places to check out is Walmart. Now, also, for those who don't know, and if you have a RTX 30 and 40 series, please update your cards, because now you can finally update to 2025. You no longer have to be in December's drivers. And if you're wondering what I mean, for those who probably have updated their card anyway, regardless of what Nvidia said, originally Nvidia said if you have a driver from this year, you have to backdate your driver to December of 2024, because they have an issue with blacking out screens. So for everyone that had a 30, 40 series or anything under that, you would have to get the driver from December of 2024. But now Nvidia did release a new update for this today, because of the RTX 5060s, for the RTX 5060 Ti. Because of this update, it will actually fix a lot of the blacking out issues with the cards, which is great, because I had that issue myself when it came to the RTX 50, when it came, not the 50, it came to the RTX 4090, it would black out if I update it. But I would have to do a hard reset, and then it would be perfectly fine. But that would fix the issue. So Mr. Jav said, return my 9070 XT Sapphire Nitro because of the unbearable whining noise. I mentioned that too, because with the Sapphire Nitro Plus, I love that card. It's actually an excellent card. Now, the only problem is once you go into game with the Sapphire Nitro Plus 9070 XT, it can cause some coil line. And he knows, so Mr. Javs knows exactly what I'm talking about. When you are into game, you will hear it immediately. And it can be quite unbearable, especially if you don't have headphones on. Now, if you don't like that type of sound, that's another card you probably would want to avoid if you're very particular of having a silent PC. And speaking of silent PCs, to everybody out there, I was thinking of doing a stealth build instead of going with a RGB build. Because if you agree with this, let me know. Put 1 if you want to see that. Put 1 for yes, 2 for no if you'd rather see a RGB build. But I'm thinking of doing a stealth build, and I've been talking to other people about this too, other managers, right? And to try to get parts for this. And we could do a stealth build with no RGBs at all. And the main focus, especially because we don't have RGBs anyway, so it doesn't matter as much. So why not do a build to where it is silent and quiet? Almost like a ninja build. It'll be like stealthy plus ninja quiet. That would be an excellent PC, right? If you agree with seeing a build like that, put 1. Put 2 if you're not really interested in seeing that. Let me know, and we can continue on doing a different type of RGB build. And we can try that out, and because I am excited to do that for sure. And I gotta say, for sure, another time I gotta do, or what I'm excited about, is that I want to do a PC build on like a live stream, but it might be a little bit difficult because my studio is a little bit of the smaller side, so I would have to figure some things out and have like different camera setups and everything. But if you would like to see a stealth build, put 1. If you would rather see a RGB build, put 2. Let me know. That would be great, because then we can have an idea of what everybody would prefer to see. Now, if you're liking what you're watching so far, if you're enjoying the channel, please subscribe to the channel or follow the channel. And also, don't forget to like the channel as well, or subscribe if I didn't say subscribe already. And it seems that Jonah's chilling right next to me. He seems to be doing very well. He's actually laying right next to the power supply. I really got to get this guy his own camera. He deserves it, since he's really the star of the show. In fact, I'm surprised he's not laying next to the PC with the RGBs lit, because it's actually right behind the camera. But instead he wants to lay next to the power supply. So I guess he approves Corsair's power supply. But so we can go with a stealthy build. We could go ninja style, where we can go with because that would be interesting. I gotta say, I want it whisper quiet, no noise at all. The fans are going to be super, like, we'll probably go Noctua fans, because Noctua fans are excellent and quiet, and they're actually one of the only companies that still do not do RGBs, believe it or not. And I can see why. I can see why they stuck to their ways. And they're one of the only companies, I think. If I'm mistaken, if there's another company, let me know. But I think Noctua is like one of those only companies that did not go RGB at all. They have different colors for, I would say, different like mounts for the rubbers for the fans, but that's it. Their fans are either their famous Noctua brown, or it's black. But I gotta say, Noctua has the top-notch fans, and they definitely they're definitely one of the leading industry when it comes to the nice silent cooling. Maybe even with a silent build, we might not even go AIO. We could always go. See, it really depends, because the more fans you add onto a build, the more chance of noise you can have as well. Because I'm thinking between AIO, get a smaller AIO maybe, and or we can go fan cooled. CPU. But again, it all depends on the type of CPU we put in and what type of side we decide to go through. If we decide to go AMD build or a Intel build, but more than likely stealth build, I gotta say, might be AMD, just because the board that we have currently, which is the right now currently the only motherboard we have in hand, is going to be the Gigabyte AORUS X, not the X878, but it's the Gigabyte AORUS Master, the Z890, and that one's going to have RGBs on it. We're going to have to look more for a stealth board, if anything, and I'll get in reach with my contacts out there to see what I can find out there, especially because if we're going to go stealth, I want it to have no lights at all, and I gotta look at separate cases or maybe disable the LED. But no, we gotta have the LED to know that the PC is on. But going with the whole RTX 5060 Ti, I don't know if you guys felt proud about the RTX 5060 Ti. I feel kind of, I'm not really shocked, but I'm kind of awed to the fact that it really did sell out as quick as it did. I guess we're getting to the point where we really need people to purchase cards at this point. There's people really looking to upgrade their cards, but they can't. Maybe it's the fact that there's you can't get your hands really easily on a RTX 5080, RX 9070 XT. That could be the issue, and because of that, it seems that it kind of cornered the market for the 5060s. So it's a lot easier for the 5060 Ti's to sell out as well as they did. Now, what I'm really curious about is when AMD comes out with the Radeon RX 9060, because when they come out with their 9060, I'm curious if they will, more than likely they should, when they come out with their 9060s, they're going to have a very decent supply. That's what's good about AMD. The problem with AMD is we don't know exactly, they'll have a decent quantity, but we're not going to be sure exactly how quick they will replenish that quantity. So they're going to have 9060s, and we can expect more 9070s to arrive with the 9060s, because that's how they do things. So it's going to be 9060s and 9070s we can see. And hopefully that there will be a decent enough supply to where it can help fix somewhat of the market, because it's so unbalanced that it's hard to believe we're in April already and that we're still having trouble getting some cards in, even though Nvidia was supposed to have a lot more cards in it, and they're getting decent supplies in now and then, but it's not enough to saturate it enough to the market. And you get a good indicator if you go in a place like eBay and you see how they're selling. In fact, I'm just curious, let me go on eBay real quick, and just to get a good idea, because this is a good indicator, I like to call it, because this is a good indicator, because then you have an idea of where the market is for the RTX 5090s. So I'm going to look up RTX 5090, see where they're currently selling at, and more than likely they're probably going to be, let's see, sold items. All right, so I'm going to share this with everyone here, and it's still in that same browser. Let me just copy this, and I'll just paste it over so you guys can see it. Perfect. Okay. So it looks like currently MSI RTX 5090 is going for this the Supreme Edition, or the Supreme Edition, is their one of their top cards, is sold for 4,088, and right now, I'm not going to promote anybody to purchase off of eBay, especially when it comes to these cards. It makes no sense. Now, a new in hand Gigabyte RTX 5090 Master Ice White Edition is sold for 4,200, and we have Gigabyte's RTX 5090 Windforce Overclock Edition that's sold for 3,500. So you can see the profit margins are getting smaller, because before these cards were selling for well over, they were selling like for $6,000-$7,000. but now you can see they're kind of getting further, they're getting closer to earth now, at least when it comes to the pricing. We have the ASUS ROG Astral, which is the more expensive card and one of the most expensive cards, MSRP. This is at $4,485. And look, he even wants you to pay delivery because, you know, it's not enough profit for him. And eBay takes a lot of profit. So it's almost like, they're only going to probably get a couple $100 out of it. So it's pointless to do this unless they have hundreds of them. But, and here goes one. The most expensive one that is selling is the ASUS ROG Astral, the AIO one, which is a 360 millimeter, the 360 millimeter radiator, and it's $4,910. So that one's the more expensive one, but again, at least it's still not over $5,000. So that's a good indicator that the pricing is landing slowly, and we can expect it to get more normal. It's going to get to the point where they're not going to want to sell any more of these cards because there's almost practically no profit at this point. And again, because even the Gigabyte, even Gigabyte's AORUS Master, their card that I have, that was $3,000. So if you're selling it on a place like eBay, where they take almost like 21 or 22% of what you sell it for, you have to sell it for almost like at least like double to make anything. Even if you sell it for 50% more, you're only getting like 25%, or even a little less if you include shipping. So it's like they're not really making that much money off of these cards. So we'll get to the point where they're not going to really want to sell like that. And then you can start to see it kind of, everything kind of pile back to normal, because they're not going to want to sell it anymore. And they're going to be SOL when it comes to, especially once they start really restocking. They're going to wish that they brought it back to the store, because now they're just going to have a card that sits there, or they're going to take the loss for selling it. They're going to have to take a loss at that point. But overall, I also, for anyone that is just coming in and just curious about the giveaway, I did mention it is going to happen on Saturday. And when it does, it's going to be in the description box down below. Or if you're on TikTok, just go to my website, which will be chrismizo.com, mizo.com, where you can join the giveaway. And I'll give you more details on how you can. And on top of it, the website also has my other social media links. And it does have a merch shop, and it does have a regular shop where it does also have PCs if you are looking for a gaming PC. I'm also running into different ideas, which I'm excited to do, almost like build kits, but that's something in the near future I gotta think of. But I think, but yeah, check out the website, and more than likely, hopefully it will fit the needs that you're looking for. Or if you're even just looking for the Discord channel that I was talking about, make sure you can show off your battle rigs, and you can also show your before and afters. You can even show your PC companion, just like Jonah here, on the Discord channel. That's also on the bottom of Chris Mizo's page. Weird to say it like a third person view, but it's going to be on the bottom of the page. You'll see a Discord icon. Make sure you click it, and that will take you immediately over to the server. So everybody out there, what is your thoughts of the RTX 50 series of this year? Are you feeling a little bit better after the RTX 5060, or are you feeling that you're getting, so to say, you're not getting your fair deal from Nvidia? Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the chat, I should say. I'm so used to saying comments down below. But let me know in the chat. Let me know what you guys think, because I got to know what your thoughts are about Nvidia. Have you turned more into AMD? Have you been wanting to try out AMD to see how they are? Let me know. Do you have questions about your PC build? Or do you have any issues you want to talk about with your PC build? And I'm not talking about personal issues. We could talk about that too if you want, but I'm talking about your PC issues. If you have any, put it in the chat. Let me know. I got to hear from you guys. because that's going to be something that we can figure out together. Or are you just thinking of doing a PC build? You're thinking about getting out of the console world. You're getting sick of PS5 remakes, so you want to go to the PC world, or you want to go get away from Xbox, because at this point you might as well get a PC because you enjoy all the titles that you do have for Xbox. So, and there's a lot of advantages when it comes to PCs. Again, you could game on you could pick any controller you want. I could literally hook up, say, like this Envision Pro, which is one of my favorite controllers here, and I could hook up a Xbox controller if I wanted to, or I can even hook up a DualSense controller to the PC. And that's the best part. You have so much flexibility. You're not limited by your options on the system that you have, and you don't have to pay a yearly fee to go online. You don't have to pay for Xbox. You don't have to pay for Game Pass, or you don't have to pay for PlayStation Plus. In fact, it's even ridiculous that even that PlayStation Plus, they actually raised their price. I forget exactly where, but they did raise their price. Let me see. PlayStation Plus. They raised their price, blah, blah, in certain regions. Not in the US, though. They raised it in Canada. That's where they raised it. So then this is in Canadian dollars here. So in PlayStation Plus Essential, it now costs 110 Canadian dollars. Now PlayStation Plus Extra for the 12-month subscription costs $190. Excuse me. And PlayStation Plus Premium for the 12-month subscription costs $225. So now you tell me that buying a console is cheaper than purchasing a PC. It's really not when you really think about it. Because when you buy a console, you have to have PlayStation Plus, right? If you want to game online. And you also have to have the console. So you want the PS5 Pro. And you want the optical drive. You want the stand, which is going to cost you like $750, right? Now, $225 on top of that. And then you want to get some accessories. You want to get an extra controller. You want to get the headset. At that point, you're already at the price of a PC. So why get a console when you can get a PC, which is upgradable? And then on top of it, you can pick any controller that you would like. And you can even choose whichever monitor that you prefer, whatever type of monitor that you would choose to game on, with minimal input lag. And input lag is important, especially when it comes to gaming, especially if you are into things like competitive shooters. If you are having such low input lag, will make a world of a difference, especially on a high refresh rate monitor compared to a 120 hertz display. So if you're thinking of going from console over to PC, it's 100% a great opportunity to do so. And you don't have to worry about playing any more remakes as much. So, for certain, I gotta say, what do you think of Nvidia for this year and AMD? Have you chosen a side to go with? Have you chosen the type of GPU that you want to go with? Let me know what you guys think, because I am curious about what everybody's take is on that. And I gotta say, I'm really curious about like how we're gonna go, especially after Nintendo Switch 2 with the pricing of, I know it's on the specific title of Mario Kart World. They're supposed to do a touring of it or like a show of it. And I think that's the only title that they actually only charge $80. I'm not sure if it's other titles, because I've seen other titles that they're going for more around $70. But I just think it's funny that PlayStation or Sony has asked everybody what they thought about their conference. And if it's almost like saying, is it okay if we charge $80 too for our titles? Because it's getting pretty ridiculous, right? When it comes to the whole pricing side, especially when it comes to gaming. Because now it almost kind of leads you into a way where you wouldn't be surprised if Grand Theft Auto would go up in price. If Grand Theft Auto 6 really did go up to $100, because it all started really from Nintendo. Or they already, or, you know, because they are inside the industry here. And when you're inside the industry, you'll have indications of what is happening, and it could be happening. They can be charging maybe not $100 for the game, but it might be $100 for the actual like whole bundle that they have together. So Dave S says, I ordered both the 5070 and the 9070 XT at launch, and they both cost about the same amount. I didn't even open the 5070 and returned it. Yeah, 9070 XT is definitely the better deal. If you had to choose between the two, I would definitely choose to go that route as well, Dave. That was the right choice for certain. I apologize for everyone on TikTok. I missed your comments, but I see that a lot of threes over there. That's pretty funny. And that's funny. Jonah's getting a little bit restless here. He's moving in his different locations, so he's enjoying himself. And in fact, he's laying right next to the power supply, which is pretty funny. So make sure to grab your drinks, as I'm going to mention a couple things. There's nothing like coffee in the morning and at night. I gotta tell you, best times to drink it, I feel. But anyway, so for everybody that's just joining in, or if you're unfamiliar with my channel, you're just catching it, that's okay. I'm Chris Mizo. I talk about PC and tech. We were just talking about the RTX 5060 and the RTX 5060 Ti, getting an idea of exactly of what is going on, how is the pricing for it, and also, is it really worth getting it? And we've also talked about different PC builds, different ideas of what type of builds that you can do, or if you're either on the AMD side or Intel side. We've also talked that there is going to be a giveaway, which I had brought up, which is the Samsung 990 Pro. Make sure you check it out. It will happen this Saturday, and when it does, I'll be posted on the website at chrismizo.com, which is the Samsung 990 Pro. And it will also, it also has all the social media links and my Discord channel right down below, where we all talk about tech. Make sure to check it out. And also, it does have a store, a merch shop, and also all the other social media links. If you are interested in joining Discord, where you can show off your PC companion, which is like Jonah here, or you can show off your PC builds, you can even show off your benchmarks, which again, Discord, again, all the platforms that I'm mentioning are practically all free. And again, the giveaway is also a free giveaway for one winner, of course. I wish I had thousands of SSDs to give out, but unfortunately I don't have thousands of SSDs. But also, hopefully you enjoyed this stream. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. If you did, make sure to, don't forget to give a heart or give it a thumbs up. And also make sure, don't forget to subscribe and to follow to catch up for the latest updates. And don't be afraid to ask questions, which I also answer in the comments, or I will answer in Discord as well. I appreciate everybody who is part of the stream. I love all of you guys that is part of the fan band, because you guys made this possible. And there's going to be a lot more that is incoming in this channel, which I will be excited to do with you guys. And thank you guys again for joining. I appreciate you all. I love all of you guys. Make sure you guys either have a good morning or good evening, depending where you are in the world. And don't be afraid to ask questions, because Jonah and I are here, and we're also here to help you out. Thank you guys again so much for watching tonight. And don't be afraid to talk in the chat, because again, that's what I'm here for. Thanks again so much for watching. Whew. Coffee, right guys? Thanks again, everybody. Love you all.